today we are going to talk about one of the coolest succulents that you can add to your garden. So this is a Mangave. I'm standing in the middle of our Mangave berm. All of these plants are hybrids between Manfreda and Agave. So Manfreda is a southeast United States native species. Agave can be found throughout North America, more than 1,000 species. When you combine Manfreda, you get the spotted color on the leaves, you get the nice strappy foliage, a little bit of wave to the foliage. With Agave, more than 1,000 different types of Agave, great architectural forms, more colors. You put them together, you literally get thousands and thousands and thousands of potential combinations. So we put them together, and here you can see some of our favorite Mangave that we have encountered across the years. Why are these plants so great? This is a big premium succulent that you can add to your garden. Whether you're putting it directly in the ground or using it in a container, you can see just the incredible forms that you get. This one here, this is Lavender Lady. It has a nice flexible foliage compared with Agave. The spines are not at all anywhere near as lethal. You're not going to get poked or stabbed quite to the extent that you might with an Agave. Still use, a little bit of tenderness, but the flexibility to the leaves, the ease of handling, that is just one of the reasons it's much nicer to have a Mangave in your garden than a straight Agave. Beyond that, you get really cool colors in the leaves as well. These plants are also much more flexible than what you would get from an Agave. So Mangave are much more water tolerant. That comes from the Manfreda in them, so you don't have to worry about drowning them. Just as many succulents die from being overwatered as do from neglect, but Mangave, they really run the gambit. They can take way more water. They can take a little bit of flooding even, and they'll still be fine and beautiful in your garden. So that additional water usage also really opens them up to being a much more flexible plant, where you can plant them actually with annuals, and they can take the same water level as annuals for a year, or for a drier annual container. So that way you're not limited to just a succulent look. You can put some tropicals in there, really expand what you want to do in your mixed containers or landscape. So how hardy are these? Well, they will go up to about zone 8. They are more moderate in their temperature, but you can overwinter them in your house. These things are incredibly durable. You can put them in any space in your house that stays above freezing, and then you can bring them out the following year. You'll still have that great big rosette, and once they're back out in that warm summer sun, they will flush back out and they will look beautiful. So here we are by Pineapple Express. This is one of the first Mangave that we introduced. It has a really nice strappy foliage. You can see all of that spotting, great blue-green color, and you can see just how many offsets it has off of the main rosette. So that's a ton of new plants that it's forming once this main rosette goes to flower. This is a great time to talk about the growth rate of Agave. Because of their strappier leaves, compared with a straight Agave, they grow about twice as fast. So they're going to bulk up, they're going to fill out containers much quicker than what you would get from a traditional Agave. That comes from their water tolerance. So because they can take more water, because they can pull up more water, it helps them grow a little bit faster. If you are growing these, we do compare them to more of a hosta growth rate or a growth style than what we would to a traditional succulent. So if you're growing them like a succulent, if you're not watering them as much, they're going to grow slower. If you treat them like a perennial, if you give them a little bit more water, a little bit more fertilizer, you will see them bulk up much faster. So here we have Pineapple Express, and then if you're curious what the single rosette looks like, in front of it we have Pineapple Punch. So that is a sport out of Pineapple Express. You can see the margin. And here in the bright sun, we are end of August, so it's had all summer to color up. It has this bright coral orange color to the margins, and you can see where the spots turn that bright color as well. So that is Pineapple Punch and Pineapple Express. So those are a few of the upright forms. We also have some that are a little bit more prostrate or spreading. So here we have Inkblot, which has a nice low, wide habit, a little bit of curve to the leaf, very dark. And then we have Moonglow, which has a blue cast, and that has a little bit more of a rigid leaf, but that one is going to also want to spread out and be nice and broad. Other forms that stay kind of nice and broad, we have Silver Fox. This has a silver sheen to the foliage. Again, it looks spiny, but it's really soft to the touch. And those spines at the end, they bend, so that's much easier to handle than an agave. You can see it has a nice orange cast on some of these spines as well. Good flexibility of the leaf, nice little bit of a ripple. If you want something that has a little bit more of your traditional agave look, then Permanent Wave, very reminiscent of Agave ovatifolia, but grows faster again. So it's got kind of that silver blue cast to each one of the leaves. These spines are a little bit pokier. It does look and it does feel a little bit more like an agave, but again, nice fast growth rate comparatively. And perhaps the most talked about one that we have had, this is Mangave Praying Hands. So praying hands because it has that held together look, all the leaves curved together. If you want one that you're not going to get poked by when you walk past it, this one where all of the spines point together into one central point for a very unique look. So that is praying hands. So here we have a couple of Mangave in containers. These are very simple 1-2 recipes, 2 plants for a really nice look. We have Mangave Snow Leopard. This is a nice strap leaf variety, very easy, very nice and sway, got kind of a tropical look. And it's mixed in with some licorice plant. And you can see that even the licorice plant isn't quite overwhelming it, and that can be a pretty aggressive grower. The silver on that nicely complements it. This is a low water needs container. You can water this once a week, and you're going to get this beautiful look with just 2 plants. Then we have a hanging basket. If you've ever gotten tired of having your hanging baskets dry out, this might be the combo for you. Something different to try. You have Mangave Catch a Wave with its nice kind of bluish foliage, nice wave to the foliage, and then just some dichondra silver falls spilling down the side. So that's just, again, 2 plants, very low water needs. You can let that sit while you're away for a week in the summer, and you don't have to worry about it turning crispy and being done for the entire year. So that is Mangave Catch a Wave in a container with dichondra silver falls. The thing I have to talk about is Mangave flower stalks. So agave are called century plant. That is a common name for agave because it feels like they bloom only once a century. So Mangave are very much the same. It's not quite a century, but depending on the species, 3, 5, 10 years, you might see your Mangave go ahead and bloom. So here we have Iron Man. This one takes an incredibly long amount of time to bloom, but when it does, it is a head-turning plant. You can see the stalk is almost 10 feet tall by the time that it got to flower. This is, you might be surprised, a great plant for attracting hummingbirds when they have all of those flowers in big clusters high above the plant. A lot of times there is a reddish cast to the flower stem. That is a great plant for attracting hummingbirds to your garden. So that is Mangave. These are a highly durable, highly versatile succulent. They have a nice tropical feel. I hope you try one out. They have a lot to offer for multiple years.